Alright, you already know who it is, man. We're back at it once again. We're back at it. So now this video is more of an extension video. You see what I'm saying? Based on the last video now. So the last video, you know what I'm saying, there was some good feedback there. There was some good feedback, but still, the video still to a certain extent, it still went over people's heads to a certain extent. People who weren't deep into that type of information. You see what I'm saying? So people, because again, it would have been more, because a lot of people, they would have dismissed the technological, but they would have dealt more with the historical. So people who came across that now, it would have been a bit of a, you know what I mean, it would have been one of those ones for them. So it would have kind of like, you see what I'm saying, they would have to absorb all that information. And you see what I'm saying? So, you see what I'm saying? So again, it was some interesting feedback. But on this video right here, I want to do more of an extension right here. I want to do more of an extension. So what I did now was I went into the comic books, but not necessarily the Black Panther comic book, but I specifically went into this comic book dealing with the Vibranium. I want to expand more on this Vibranium right here in the comic books. So now I went to the comic book now, and in the now the Vibranium was first spoke about now in Fantastic Four, the comic book Fantastic Four, number 52 and 53. Now 52 is when Black Panther was first introduced, and then 53 is where Vibranium was first introduced. You see what I'm saying? So I had to go into those comic books to get that true, what they really said. And what I found, though, we're going to break this down, but what I found was that they actually watered it down. They watered the concept down for the movie, for the mainstream. They actually watered it down. We're going to break this down to you. They watered it down. You see what I'm saying? So I just want to read quickly do a quick summary of what I found out in the comics, and then we're going to break it down. So basically, they said how the Vibranium now formed a mound. You see what I'm saying? They say all they said was that there was just this mound. That's all they said. They didn't say anything about a comet, the meteorite. All they said was a mound. The Vibranium formed a mound in the Wakanda nation, and it said that this Vibranium was a source of. No, this mound was a source of Vibranium, and the mound was essentially a supply of virtually inexhaustible Vibranium. So the supply was virtually inexhaustible. That's the first key. You see, and they said the mound was there since the beginning of time. Right. So again, yeah, so in Fantastic Four 52 and 53 is when his thread was introduced. Right. So now in 53 now comes Claw. This is where Claw was first introduced. Well, not first introduced, but this is where he was also introduced. You see what I'm saying? I'm not sure if it was first introduced. I think it was something else, but that's where he was introduced. Claw. You see what I'm saying? And what they called him was, they called him the Master of Sound. We're going to break this down to you. They called him the Master of Sound. And he had a weapon that could convert sound into mass. You see. But he needed Vibranium to power his sound transformer, so he could convert the basic energy of sound, right, into any living form that he desired. You see what I'm saying? You see. This is what he wanted. So that's what the whole thing with Claw is, sound. They said he was a Master of Sound. We're going to break this down to you. You see. So now one of the Wakandan warriors now. So he comes in with, so basically in the comic book now, he comes in with his sound weapon, and one of the Wakandan weapons took it off him now, and they shot him in his hand. You see what I'm saying? They shot his hand. And then he creates a metal, they call it a metal force glove that he puts over the hand. But see, in the comic book, they don't actually cut the hand off. All they did was shoot the hand, but the hand is still there. But I'm guessing maybe that was probably something to do with the audience, maybe. Like, the audience at that time period, maybe they didn't want to have all that kind of gory stuff, so I don't know. But anyway, the hand wasn't off. The hand was still there, but I think he just shot the hand. You see. So yeah, so then he creates this metal force glove. But then in the movie, it wasn't a glove. What it was a synthetic hand. You see what I'm saying? In the movie, it was a synthetic hand. You see. Right. And then, so yeah, so they had this sound force glove, that's this synthetic hand. And it said, again, it spoke at the sound converter again, that a claw could instantly change the base form of sound into any simulation of a living creature. You see what I'm saying? So that was that. Now in Fantastic Four 52 now, in the comic book Fantastic Four 52 now, there was this ship. So the same ship in the movie is the same ship in the comic book. And Dr. Reed now, again, we're dealing with the Fantastic Four, Dr. Reed, the smart one, the guy who deals with the technology and all that, or deals with all the science. He was impressed by the technology. Even he was impressed. So now he said that the ship was powered by magnetic waves. You see what I'm saying? Magnetic waves. And then when they arrive now, one of the members of the Wakandan civilization, he greets them. He greets them now. and then he has this metal object, and he sticks the metal object into the ground now, and he has his headset, and he said he's going to communicate that they have a right, so it's this kind of communication device. And then it said that he says that this device operates by CCW, cosmic channel waves, which blanket the earth. And it says that this is powerful, and then it said that there was a powerful sound beam that reaches to Wakanda, and then it showed another what do you call it, another image now, where they receive, the transmission has been received, you see what I'm saying? And then also now, I think in 53 now, or no, 52 now, Black Panther attacks, Black Panther attacks Fantastic Four. That's what the whole 52 is about. Basically, he's fighting the Fantastic Four. And what happens was some of the guys from Wakanda now, they're coming with these weapons. They're coming with these weapons, and they fire these weapons at them. And at first they just thought they were beams of light, and then they said that these weapons were, he goes, do you feel that vibration? So these weapons are actually magnetic anti-polarity beams, which make objects repel each other. That's what they had. You see what I'm saying? So that was the comic book. So again, this video basically, I want to break down the comic book versus the movie. This is what I want to do here. You see, and break down what this vibranium really is. I've already spoke about it already, but the comic book, we're gonna break it down though, because you see what I'm saying. So now, dealing with Claw, he's the master of sound. So the guy in the movie, the evil guy, Julius Claw or whatever his name was, they call him the master of sound in the comic book. But by sound, they ain't referring to music. You see what I'm saying? Because that's us, the master of music. That's us. So by sound, they ain't referring to music. So what are they really referring to? You see what I'm saying? So he had this sound weapon that could convert sound into mass. You see, but he needed the vibranium to power his sound transformer, so he could turn the sound energy into any living form he desired. You see what I'm saying? So by sound, what they're actually referring to is thermodynamics. That's what they're referring to, thermodynamics. You see what I'm saying? Because sound waves, it sends a vibration. These vibrations, again now, vibrate the molecules, and the molecules and the atoms now, and the atoms become excited, and that translates as heat energy, which really translates as heat, which is really energy. So this is it. So again, it starts with the vibration. It starts with the sound wave itself. So that's all thermodynamics, dealing with vibrations and energy transfer and all of that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? But now, if vibranium was a metal now, and he has this sound transformer, and he's the master of sound, how could he then, how could vibranium be a metal and him being the master of sound, but how could this vibranium metal aid this sound transformer, this sound weapon? So that's not what that was. You see what I'm saying? It was never a metal. What it really was now, what I said in the video was, it was a personification, a conglomerate principle of all these different forces, electromagnetism, thermodynamics, right? Quantum physics, all of those forces. Electricity, that's what it was. Sound, resonance, acoustic vibration is a conglomerate principle personified as a substance. And we're going to break it down. We're going to go further into this, but that's what it was. You see what I'm saying? So what Claw really wants is the knowledge of thermodynamics that the ancient people had. That's what they had. You see what I'm saying? And this is what he wanted, right? So now dealing with the sound converter now. Claw had this sound converter, this machine that could convert energy, in the basic sound energy, into a living creature, you see. But by sound, they mean thermodynamics and energy. So what this sound converter really is, and even when you see it in the comic books now, I think it's 53 now, Fantastic Four 53, it's basically a TV. That's what it is. It's a TV monitor. You see what I'm saying? Showing a 3D creature. You see what I'm saying? 3D animated creature. That's what it was. It's just 3D animation. So that's what that really is. So that's why he's the master of sound. So it's showing how the Western man, or basically the European now, he has mastered thermodynamics now, which he uses to create rockets, these technologies now, these engines now, combustion engine, these engines for cars and rockets and jet engines, all these different things now, and TVs and monitors. You see what I'm saying? So that's the whole mastery of sound. That's what they really mean. You see. So again, so that's what the vibranium is now. So again, it's right there in the comic books. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of these guys now, but again, I spoke about this already. I've spoken about this, how a lot of these guys, they know it, and I know they know it. You see what I'm saying? But because of affiliations now, they can't really speak about it. You see what I'm saying? They can't really deal with that kind of stuff. But you see what I'm saying? But we're gonna break this down even more. So now, you see what I'm saying? So now, so now I want to deal with the technology. Now in the movie now, the technology was the technology was watered down in the movie as opposed to what it was in the comic book. So now in the comic book now, in the movie now, they showed the ship and they had the ship in the comic book, but what they didn't show was, they didn't show the communication device or the polarity gun. They left those out in the movie. You see what I'm saying? So now we're dealing with the ship. So now in the comic book now, Dr. Reed said that the ship was powered by magnetic waves, right? It was powered by magnetic waves, but in the movie they said that all of their technology was powered by vibranium. So their ships in the movie and all the ships in the movie and all the technology in the movie was powered by vibranium, but in the comic book they're saying that the ship was powered by magnetic waves, right? But if vibranium was really a metal, as they say it's a metal, and what people believe it to be as a metal, then how could this even be possible? Because there's only a few metals that are actually magnetic, and they call them ferromagnetic metals, which includes iron, nickel, and cobalt. And that was one of the first theories. I thought it was cobalt. This vibranium, I thought it was cobalt. Then I went deep into it. But those are the only few metals that actually have a ferromagnetic properties, meaning that it can be attracted to a magnet and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? But a few people now, they said that the vibranium was carbon. It was a derivative of carbon. It's carbon, but carbon doesn't have these magnetic properties. You see what I'm saying? It's not ferromagnetic. It doesn't have these properties. You see. So how could the ship levitate, right, without these magnetic properties? You see. So again, this further proves that the vibranium is not actually a metal in itself, but what it is, again, it's a principle of thermodynamics, acoustic vibration, sound resonance, and electromagnetism. That's what it is. That's what vibranium is. Again, we're just further proving. That's all it is. We're just further proving what I initially stated in the video, the first video. We're just further proving that right here. You see what I'm saying? And also, what further proves is now that when this scene, when he was in the car, and that chase scene now, so that when it was in South Korea, or when it was in Korea and that, and it was on the car, you see what I'm saying? It's almost as if the Black Panther was on the car. It's almost as if he was stuck to the car. You see what I'm saying? And which, because he was stuck to the car, dealing with, of course, that's what the vibranium is, electromagnetism. So he was stuck to the car. You see what I'm saying? Based on the magnetism. You see what I'm saying? Now, now what they also left out in the movie was the communication device. That's what they left out in the movie. So the communication device now, he plugged it into the ground now with the headset now, and it communicated all the way to Wakanda in Africa. You see what I'm saying? And they said the device was powered by cosmic channel waves, right? Which they said were to blanket Earth. You see what I'm saying? But now this device now was actually analogous to the obelisks in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? And this, because this is really what they were. These obelisks, this is what they were. You see what I'm saying? These obelisks being out of granite now. These were actually communicate. At some point in time, they were actually communication devices. You see what I'm saying? Communication devices, and it being made of granite, having all these energetic properties. That's the vibranium in itself. So the vibranium isn't necessarily the granite itself. The vibranium is the properties that it has. So that's the vibranium. That's the vibranium. You see what I'm saying? Not the obelisk, but the obelisk runs on vibranium. You see what I'm saying? So that's the whole vibranium. You see what I'm saying? That's what the metaphor of vibranium actually is. You see. So they're dealing with the obelisk now. They were actually communication devices. You see. But now I want to deal with the headset now. Now what's interesting. So now dealing with the headsets now, it resembled something out of the Olmec helmets and the Olmec headdress. So the headset that he had would resemble something like the Olmec because it came down like this. You see what I'm saying? So, and even in the Mayan culture, so one of the theories is that, what if a lot of these headsets, right? Well, not headsets, a lot of these headdresses in the Mayan culture and Olmec culture, these are actually forms of technology. So what if they weren't even headdresses at all? What if they were technology? You see what I'm saying? So for example, when you see in the Mayan culture now, some of their depictions, they look mechanical. They couldn't look mechanical, like they got technology over there. You see what I'm saying? So what if that's actually what it was? But see, here's where it goes even deeper. But how the technology would work is that, but the reason why the technology doesn't look as complicated as the stuff that we had is because they never needed it to be. You see what I'm saying? So they never needed it to be. So the technology wasn't as complicated as what we have because they never needed it to be because they had something more internal. They were running on something internal, and that technology was a form of aid for them. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to go too deep into that, but it was a form of aid based on what they could do internally. So these headdresses was aid for them. It was just aid based on what they could do internally. You see what I'm saying? But I don't want to go too deep into that aspect right there. So now the final thing now, they had these magnetic anti-polarity guns, right? And these basically cause objects to repel each other. You see what I'm saying? So now I want to go. What makes it so interesting is this. So now the comic book now, when that was released now, was 1966. But during that time, or during the time of early archaeology, what was happening was these archaeologists who were going to Egypt and going to these places like Egypt and Peru, and they saw these heavy stones that they themselves knew no human labor or manual labor could have moved these stones. It was too heavy to be moved. But see, they're running game on the people now. That's what they do. They know themselves damn well these stones are too heavy to be moved by manual labor. But they're running game on people talking about they were dragging them. You see what I'm saying? And meanwhile, they're in their offices. They're laughing. They're laughing that the masses actually eating this up, dragging them. Right? They're laughing. So now they knew it was too heavy to be moved. So at the time period, in 1966, they would have theorized that they had some type of magnetic levitation device. You see what I'm saying? That's what they would have theorized. They would have had. Right? And even myself, I had a similar theory. But then what happened was I started to study physics now, and I realized that the technology was an even higher technology that was beyond human. That technology was even beyond human and beyond the dynastic. You see what I'm saying? So that's what that was right there. You see what I'm saying? So again, it's just a quick one right here. It's just a quick one. This video is a quick one right here. You see what I'm saying? So we're closing out right now. Doing the conclusion now. The technology in the comic book now, or the technology in the movie, was actually watered down, as opposed to what was actually in the comic books. It was actually watered down. You see what I'm saying? And they made people think that the vibranium was a metal. That's what they made people think. But again, I think they did that for the mainstream because they knew it was going to go mainstream. So what they did was had to further encode it, further keep barriers in the concept of it being a metal. That's what they had to do, further barriers, because they knew it was going to go mainstream. You see what I'm saying? But in the comic book, it proves dealing with sound that it ain't a metal at all. You see what I'm saying? It ain't a metal at all. But another interesting fact that what I did notice that what they did was they put the Wakanda now alongside the modern era. This is what they did. They put it alongside the modern era, right? So that way people would look at this. So that's why a lot of people, they dismissed the technological. They dismissed it. You see what I'm saying? They dismissed the technological and they were focused on the historical because they put it alongside the modern era. And Africa as modern Africa, there's no knowledge over there. There's nothing over there. You see what I'm saying? Obviously, certain parts, obviously, is more civilized and all that, dealing with Ethiopia and Ghana and all these different places, and you know what I'm saying, and Nigeria and things like these places. They're more modern now, but people are looking at those civilizations based on the movie now. People that's why people are sleeping on the technological aspect, because they put it alongside the modern era, when really reality that was a representation of ancient cultures and ancient Africa, when in those times there was a gap, and I spoke about this. There was a gap. The gap would have been huge. They were so far ahead. The gap was huge. You see what I'm saying? The gap was huge. So so the movie was really based on an ancient culture, but they put it side by side with the modern era, so that way people would sleep on it. You see what I'm saying? People would sleep on it. That's why in the movie they spoke about giving aid. So now the unlearned people, the historical people, or just even the mainstream people, they would have laughed at that. You see what I'm saying? Them giving aid, thinking that they're dealing with modern Africa, and that it's just fictional. But in reality, it's an ancient Africa, and they were so far ahead. They should have been giving aid, and we was giving aid. They was giving aid. You see what I'm saying? That's what they was doing. They was giving aid. They was writing language. They was giving people languages. They were teaching people how to speak. They was giving aid. Everything all around you. Right? Everything all that you see all around you is a product of the aid. that these people gave thousands of years ago. You see what I'm saying? This is the product of their aid. They gave aid. They taught people how to speak. They gave people aid. Taught people how to dress. You see what I'm saying? They were in Europe for 700 years giving aid. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. They was giving aid. You see what I'm saying? But again, that's because they were so far ahead. They had light bulbs, electricity. But motherfuckers, they were just living like savages. You see what I'm saying? And they had light bulbs and all these different things. So they had to do that to throw the people off. You see what I'm saying? So when I came with my video now, a lot of people, they would deal with the historical. So when they saw my video, it was a totally different perspective. A lot of people, they just missed the whole thing that's over their heads, because it was just totally different to what they would have expected. You see what I'm saying? But again, that's what we did. So the movie was deep. The movie was deep. There was a lot of layers to the movie, and that's what I liked. There was a lot of layers for peoples of all levels of consciousness. So even if the more mainstream people, they got some stuff out of it, and the historical people, and then even the occult people, there was some stuff up in there. So the movie, you gotta watch it more than once. I had to watch it twice. Like, I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I have to watch it more than once, man. You have to just study the movie. You see what I'm saying? I might have to pick some stuff up the second time as opposed to the first time. Yeah, there was some other things in there. You see what I'm saying? I'm not denying there was other things in there. There was other things. But you don't want to, again, when you're dealing with this movie, you don't really want to focus on the negative. Yeah, we can focus on stuff like the CIA was throughout the movie, the CIA, there's certain things, and, you know, there's other negative things that you could deal with, but that's not what it is, because based on what they've given us prior, you see what I'm saying? You know, with the 12 Years a Slave and the Tyler Perrys and the Big Mama's House, this is brilliant. This movie, in comparison to what they've been giving us, their movie is brilliant. So I got nothing bad to say about it. Yeah, there's some negative things, but I'm not going to make videos talking about the negative, because based on what they've given us prior, that movie was brilliant. It was brilliant, man. So again, that's just a quick one right here. There's a quick one dealing with, so again, the quick one dealing with the comic books as it pertains to the movie, further proving my point that the Vibranium actually is a concept and not actually a metal. So again, just a quick one right here. So guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it doesn't get information. Alright, people, thanks for watching.